All right, let's get straight to it. You're in a relationship and you're having disagreements? Good. Disagreements, arguments, tiffs, whatever you want to call them, are as normal in a relationship as breathing. But here's the kicker. It's not you argue. It's you argue that determines whether your relationship thrives or nosedives. We're going to talk about handling these moments with care, because believe it or not, these are opportunities. You think the couples you see holding hands after 50 years never had a crossword? Get real. They've probably had more knockdown, drag-out discussions than you've had hot dinners. The difference is, they learned how to navigate those stormy seas without sinking the whole darn ship. Love isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about learning to grow it. It's about understanding that even when you're frustrated, even when you're angry, that connection is still there. And it's worth fighting for in the right way. So if you're ready to stop walking on eggshells or stop having the same fight over and over with no resolution, then you're in the right place. We're going to break down how to handle disagreements in a way that actually brings you closer, builds more trust, and strengthens that love you're working so hard to protect. It's time to get smart about how you argue, so your love can keep growing even when you don't see eye to eye. Let's get to work. If you think a healthy relationship means you never ever disagree, then you've been watching too many fairy tales. Disagreements are not just normal. They are an inevitable part of two unique individuals trying to build a life together. You have different backgrounds, different perspectives, different pet peeves. Of course, you're going to bump heads sometimes. What it means is that you're both human. If these disagreements are turning into all-out war every single time, then yeah, we've got a problem with not the mere presence of conflict. That's just a sign that you're engaged, you're invested, and there are things to be worked through. Think of it like this. Your relationship is a living thing, and like any living thing, it needs to be challenged a bit to grow stronger. Stop catastrophizing every argument. Instead, try thinking, okay, here's a point of difference. How can we navigate this in a way that respects both of us and helps us understand each other better? The disagreement has started. Your heart rate is up. Your face is getting hot. Right there, that's the critical moment. You have a choice. You can either let that emotional wave hijack your brain and say something you'll regret, or you can hit the pause button. That one little pause can be the difference between a minor skirmish and a full-blown relationship crisis. It's about choosing to respond, not just react. Reacting is primal. It's that knee-jerk fight-or-flight instinct. But responding? That's a conscious choice. It's the difference between throwing gasoline on a fire or reaching for the water hose. This pause doesn't have to be long. It can be a deep breath. The point is to create a tiny bit of space between the trigger and your response. In that space, you give yourself a chance to cool down, to think about the bigger picture, which is your relationship. Responding with intention, even when you're upset, shows maturity. It's about choosing love, choosing respect, even when anger is knocking at the door. Let's talk about the words you use when you're in the thick of it. One of the quickest ways to make a bad situation worse is to start pointing fingers. How do you feel when someone starts a sentence with "you always" or "you never"? That's a recipe for disaster, not resolution. This is where I statements come in, and they are pure gold. Instead of saying, "You're so inconsiderate," try something like, "I feel overwhelmed and unsupported." I statements are powerful because they keep the focus on your internal world, your emotions, your perceptions, your needs. You're not telling your partner you're telling them how their actions. It's about owning your experience. You're having a disagreement about who was supposed to take out the trash, and suddenly, you're arguing about unrelated past grievances. This is what we call kitchen sinking, and it's one of the most destructive habits in an argument. The original issue gets completely lost. You're now battling a hydra with a dozen different heads. The key here is discipline. When a disagreement arises, make a conscious effort to stick to that one specific topic. If other issues try to creep in, gently but firmly steer the conversation back to the matter at hand. When you stick to one topic, you give yourselves a fighting chance to actually resolve it. So many times when we think we're listening, what we're really doing is waiting to jump in with our rebuttal. That's not listening, that's reloading. If you want to resolve conflict and build connection, you have to shift from listening to reply to listening to. Listening to understand means you're genuinely trying to grasp your partner's perspective. It means you're paying attention not just to their words, but to their tone, their body language, the emotions behind what they're saying. This doesn't mean you have to abandon your own viewpoint. It just means you're willing to truly hear theirs. How do you do this? Stop formulating your next sentence while they're still talking. Make eye contact. Nod to show you're engaged. When your partner feels truly heard and understood, it de-escalates the tension like magic. It builds emotional safety. They feel validated. Let's talk about pride, or its uglier cousin, ego. When you're in a disagreement, does it become more about proving you're right than about actually solving the problem? In a relationship, if one person wins an argument, you both lose. Because what's really lost is connection, intimacy, and goodwill. Love is not a competition. It's about connection, partnership, and mutual support. Sometimes that means swallowing your pride. It means prioritizing the health of the relationship over the temporary satisfaction of being right. Letting go of pride doesn't mean you become a doormat. It means you're strong enough to look beyond the immediate conflict to the long-term well-being of your partnership. Sometimes, despite your best intentions, a disagreement can escalate. In moments like these, one of the smartest things you can do is call a timeout. Taking a break is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of wisdom. It's recognizing that you're both too flooded with emotion to communicate effectively. A healthy timeout is agreed upon. It's saying something like, "Look, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now. Can we please take a 20-minute break and then come back to this when we're both calmer?" During that break, the goal isn't to sit there stewing. The goal is to genuinely calm yourself down. Taking a break gives you precious space to reflect and reset. Have you ever noticed that you and your partner handle disagreements in completely different ways? These are different conflict styles, and understanding your own style, as well as your partner's, is crucial. There are several common styles. Some people are avoiders. They hate conflict and often withdraw. Then there are competitors or fighters. They see conflict as a win-lose situation. You also have accommodators or pleasers. They value harmony above all else. And then there are collaborators. They try to find a win-win solution. Understanding these patterns is the first step to breaking them. You need to get honest with yourself. What's your go-to move when conflict brews? This understanding helps reduce misunderstandings and allows you to approach disagreements with more empathy. Sometimes in the midst of a tense disagreement, a well-placed moment of levity can be like opening a window in a stuffy room. It doesn't mean you're dismissing the seriousness of the issue, but it can remind you both that underneath the frustration, you're still a team. A little appropriate humor can break that tension just enough to allow a little oxygen back into the conversation. It can shift the energy from adversarial to something a bit more collaborative. However, you have to know your partner and the situation. Using humor to deflect or minimize your partner's feelings is not okay. The humor I'm talking about is gentle, it's kind. The goal isn't to laugh off the problem, but to create a little breathing room. If you can find a way to smile together, even for a moment, it's a powerful sign that your bond is stronger than the conflict. You are not going to agree on everything with your partner, and that's okay. You are two separate individuals with your own unique sets of beliefs, values, preferences, and histories. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is to agree to disagree. This doesn't mean you give up on the relationship. It means you acknowledge that you have a fundamental difference in opinion. It's an acceptance of your differences. The key here is genuine respect. It means you stop trying to change their mind on that specific topic. This can actually strengthen a relationship because it demonstrates a high level of acceptance and security. So you've had the disagreement. The phase, the conflict, the reconnection, and repair is just as critical. This is where the healing happens. Think of a disagreement as a small tear in the fabric of your relationship. Reconnecting is about stitching that tear back up. It can be as simple as a sincere apology. It's about taking responsibility for your part in the conflict. It's also about reaffirming your love and commitment. Ask your partner, "Are we okay?" and really listen to their answer. Every successfully navigated disagreement, followed by a genuine reconnection, builds more trust and intimacy. There is absolutely no shame in seeking help when you're struggling to navigate disagreements. It's a sign of strength, not weakness. It shows that you value your relationship enough to invest in it. Too many couples suffer in silence, stuck in the same negative cycles. When should you consider seeking outside help? If you're having the same fights over and over again with no resolution, a good therapist or counselor isn't going to take sides. They'll help you identify those negative patterns of communication. They'll teach you new tools and strategies for listening and expressing your needs. Making that call can be the best decision you ever make for your partnership. It's an investment in your future happiness together. This journey of love isn't about achieving some mythical state of perfection. Real love, lasting love, isn't about being perfect partners. It's about being partners. It's about showing up with care, with intention, and with a willingness to do the work. It's about striving to understand even when it's hard. It's about choosing kindness even when you're frustrated. Every disagreement is an opportunity to practice these things. Remember all those strategies we talked about: pausing before you react, using I statements, staying on topic. These aren't magic bullets that will eliminate all conflict. They are tools that help you navigate those inevitable bumps in the road with more grace. We've talked a lot today about getting real when it comes to disagreements in your relationship. It's not about avoiding them, it's about transforming how you handle them. Remember, these skills take practice. You're not going to become a conflict resolution expert overnight. What matters is your commitment to trying, to learning, and to showing up for your partner. If this conversation resonated with you, if you picked up even one tool, then we've done good work here today. I really encourage you to like this video, leave a comment, and please subscribe to Love and Let Go. Your engagement helps us reach more people who might be looking for this kind of support. And always remember, you're not alone on this journey. Until next time, keep choosing love.